Welcome everybody to Salesperson of the Month podcast for June. I'm very proud and excited to welcome back Mr. Elliott Harper, a repeat winner. Elliott, how are you doing?
I'm very well, mate. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Obviously, new settings, back in the office, back in a new office too, which is very, very exciting for everyone. You saw it last week. What do you think?
Very impressive, mate. Yeah, it's good. It's a big step, I think, from where we were before. Just shows sort of where the business is going and the sort of level of distributor we now are.
Totally agree. And aircon, basking in 80 degrees in here.
Yeah, I still remember the first month I came up. I think it was actually coming up to August. So yeah, for almost a year now. And I think I came in a suit and I ended up walking around Stockport, sweating, dripping everywhere. And the office was hotter. So
I think you resigned, didn't you, on that day? It was so hot.
I think I did. Yeah, verbal. Yeah, it was definitely verbal. So I ain't coming up here again.
Fantastic. First of all, we're going to start off with a slightly different question. I think a lot of people probably watch a bit of podcast and go, distribution, I'm not too sure what it is, or people have very different ideas. So, what is value-add distribution to you? What does it mean to you, and how do you think we do things differently?
Yeah, so that's a good question, that. For me, I think the value-added element, comes from the sort of proactiveness that we have with our partners and vendors. I think distribution, if I was going to sort of, spell it out, we are, the broker, the middlemen in terms of relationships between our vendors and partners. That's essentially it in a nutshell. I think sometimes salespeople can overcomplicate things, and, it ultimately is aligning the right technology with the right people at the right time. And I think that us being able to enable partners to get them excited about the vendors that we have on board, and there are some exciting ones, adds to our value, and I see us as a bit of an extension of our vendors, and for me, getting in the trenches and selling with and on behalf of our vendors is massively important. So that's how I see our distribution model.
Yeah, bang on. I think that the key thing there is to simplify it. There's so much noise out there for our partners in terms of new technology. I think we're extremely good at recognizing the best of breed technology out there, which is really going to add value to our partners, and we make it easy. I think that's the biggest thing for me. We make a lot of things which look very hard on the outside and very complicated, very easy when we get involved.
Yeah, agree with that.
So, question, if I said, Michael Aspel, this is your life, what does that mean to you, Elliott?
Absolutely nothing at all.
Yeah, you're probably about 20 years too young. Right. So rather than, as you said before, you've been here about a year now. So rather than, me sort of go back through the year, I've asked a couple of special guests to sort of come on, talk about their experience of working with Mr. Elliott Harper. So without further ado, I'm going to get the first guest to join the call now. Could be anyone, this, couldn't it?
It could be, yeah, it could. Yeah, I've worked with a lot of people.
It's not your mum or your dad, don't worry about that.
Well, it could have been big. Oh, God.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ollie Spence. How are we doing?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you, Steve?
Yes.
How are you, Steve?
Good. So I just asked Elliott if he knew about Michael Aspel, This Is Your Life. No idea. No idea.
Heard of it.
So.
Good.
Yeah.
So he doesn't understand the significance of what's happening here.
Which will make this even funner. So
yeah.
Well, just saying before, Ollie, Elliott's been here about a year now, and you guys have worked very closely, especially in the last few months with the change in your team. How's it been working with Elliott?
Awful, dreadful, really bad. He's a complete nightmare. He's a nightmare. But no, do you know what, Elliott's? All jokes aside, Elliott's he's been fantastic to work with. Actually, very easy to work, very professional, very hardworking. And it hurts my feelings a bit to say all of this, to be honest, but it's true.
Elliott, how have you found working with Ollie Spence, more importantly? God.
I think, from the first day I joined, Ollie was a massive sort of mentor of mine. He'd been at the business a number of years. I think, working on arguably still is our biggest vendor now in Okta, the experience that he had from working with that and building some great relationships in the partners we work with, from the ground up was massively important and something that I learned a lot from. So, yeah, thank you very much, mate.
Oh, no, thanks for your kind words as well. I feel like I should say more nice things now because I was quite mean before, but But no, yeah, he's you've fitted in very well from the start, mate. So if you wanted my advice at this stage, I'm not sure if you do, but it would be to carry on doing what you're doing and stop stressing out as much, because you are doing a good job.
Fantastic. Ollie, thank you very much.
Is that it?
That's it, mate. You're gone.
All right. Enjoy. See you later.
So, kind words from Ollie. I think, the key thing there is everyone works as a team. I think it's, it is a team-based role, and that's not just the sales part of the organisation. That's everyone too. And that's a nice segue. That wasn't planned, to our next guest. So let me just get him on.
Hello, everyone. How are we?
Hey, Nat, how are we doing? Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, you're more than welcome. So we're just talking about Elliot's been here a year, and we all work very, very closely as a team right across Distology. How has it been for you working with Elliott, with the partners and the vendors so far?
Yeah, it's been brilliant working with Elliott. He's one of the people who really pushes the professional services on quite a lot of our vendors. So he always gets the tech team involved. He always keeps, our guys and girls involved here. So it's always really nice to work with him. He keeps us busy. So obviously that's brilliant.
Fantastic. And Elliott, how's it been working with a tech team?
Yeah, breath of fresh air, I have to say, from coming from other areas of the industry and not necessarily having that technical resource. A lot of it was based on my own knowledge, and you'll probably be the first person to say, Steve, that my technical nous is certainly not as good as some people. So having Nat and his team and the other guys within the technical team has been massively beneficial for us. And, being able to be agile and flexible in terms of things we do, more notably from my side, the Ubico element of preceding those keys, getting them essentially, ready to go, landing on people's desks, where they can authenticate straight in is massively beneficial. And again, adds to that value add that we always bang on about. So, yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, Nat, it's a massive shout out to you and the rest of the technical team, because, the guys can't do all the great conversations with partners, enable partners, without the hard work you do. So I think, all the sales guys winning these wars is testament down to the work you do. So, on behalf of the whole sales team, thank you very much for the hard work.
Yeah.
No, it's brilliant.
Good. Anything you want to add? Nat, you've got 5 seconds of fame. Anything you want to promote for your tech team? Off you go.
Yeah, no, just, a big thanks to, Elliott and all the other sales guys for keeping everyone involved, always testing our knowledge, making sure that we are always up to date with everything. The tech team's growing alongside the sales team. So it's just really nice to have that collaboration there with, both departments. It's not tech and sales separately, it's tech and sales together. It's always very nice.
Perfect. Nat, appreciate your time. Absolute hero. Yeah. Catch you later on. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. See you later, guys.
Cheers, mate.
There you go. It's nice, isn't it, mate? Nice,
yeah, I like that. That was good, yeah.
But I think it's back to you. Yes, you won for June, but we all know that the hard work you've done over the year. How's the first year been? I think you're just closing on it. You had a great start. A hard job, brand new role down south, remote working. How's it been?
It certainly had a roller coaster. Is probably the best way to put it, right?
More ups and downs, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But I think, to be fair, where without having downs, mate, you don't learn, you don't develop, you don't grow. So,
yeah.
I think there's, even from first couple of months, understanding the business, understanding the actual model itself we've got here. Going through understanding more about my partners, more about how they work, how they sell. And then ultimately the vendors as well. So yeah, it was a bit of a baptism of fire when I first joined. Totally hold my hands up to that. And I think it was either a sink or swim sort of element to it as well, which was great. But no, it's been a fantastic year, and to see the business, as I always say to you, mate, see the business grow as it has. Even in that short space of time, relatively, you've been working a long time, but a year is really nothing in comparison to that. So. Seeing the business grow the way it has, seeing the new people coming on board, it's onwards and upwards from here, mate, for sure.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think you've been a breath of fresh air since you come in, and a tough job as well. And I think you really built some good relationships with partners, and that's what it's all about. It's about building the right relationships with the partners, bringing them great technology, and helping them sell. And I think you do that perfectly. And I think you built really, really good relationships with the vendors, so you can draw those two parties together. And of course, now you're taking more of a prominent role with the Yubico team. How have you found that?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, Yubico was always one that I was drawn to, actually, when I first joined. You know, it speaks for itself. It does what it says on the tin. It's for me, a relatively easy sell. You know, I think that, you know, being able to have, you know, as I say, the PS element to it as well, being able to essentially deliver a key, you know, a hardware token that can just plug in and off it goes is brilliant, and something I've never seen before. So it's best of breed technology. It's, you know, which is obviously what I like to work with, but people get it. It's easy to understand. It makes my life a lot easier, as I said earlier. Not the most technical knowledge person out there. So yeah, so for me it's fantastic, and the guys at Yubico have been great. Obviously having now Mark on board as well, but it's nice to be able to sort of have that focus now, where I was kind of sort of more vendor agnostic, where I was looking after a lot of vendors, wasn't able to really kind of get my teeth stuck into one, focus 100% on that vendor. So it's nice to now have that, and hopefully we should see that grow in the next 3 to 6 months.
I mean, we've already seen the great growth of Yubico over the last few years, but I think, you know, that we're only still on that upward trajectory. So if there are any partners interested in Yubico, Elliott's the man to speak to. We couldn't go through a podcast about a quiz, could we?
No.
Get out of this. No. So now you've been here a year. You know, you should know the team quite well. No, we're always growing. So I've got 5 questions to answer about the team. You ready?
Yeah, go.
Number 1, who's the hardest worker?
Just sales or in general?
No, everyone.
Oh man, I said Danielle. I think to see, because we joined relatively a similar time, to be honest, and to see her growth and to see her, you know, develop, and obviously now in the new role, sales management role, you know, it's testament to her work ethic. I think sometimes I've been on calls with her at sort of 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, discussing deals end of month, end of quarter, right? So, yeah, for me, it's Danielle.
Yeah, totally agree. I think, you know, Danielle wears many hats, but she's probably the coolest customer in the office by absolute miles. Who's the best dressed?
Best dressed? Oh, God.
And before you answer that, it's certainly not you. Right now, I'm going to send you a picture. Can you throw up the picture of Elliott in that shocking black and white shirt he had that time? Looked like he'd just finished work at Foot Locker and decided to start some Uber keys. Shocking clobber, mate. Shocking.
It was nice. I was umpiring, actually. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Best dressed. Oh God.
Get off the fence. Come on.
To be fair, mate. You're right. Do you know what? I actually think Sizzle, Jack Clemenson's doing all right.
He's very well tailored. He's got good clothes, hasn't he?
His shirts fit well, actually. To be fair, so I'd say Sizzle.
Nice, I agree on that one. Who's a Salesforce hero? Who's Mr. Salesforce?
Ryan Davenport, mate, without a shadow of a doubt. Followed very closely by Matt Payne, but I would say Ryan Davenport. Yeah, he absolutely epitomises Salesforce in my understanding.
Yeah, you know how much I love Salesforce, and it's all about organisation. So, and I think it's a great shout on those two. Who's the most helpful person in the team?
Most helpful person? I'll have to say Danielle again, mate. To be fair, is that allowed? Am I allowed to do 2 votes?
You've just done it.
Yeah, I've just done it. I can't go back now, can I? I'd say Danielle again. I mean, maybe it's because I work a lot closer with her now than I have done in the past. But I think that, you know, when we were looking at some larger deals and chasing those deals in, working collaboratively together on those deals, you know, she couldn't help enough on that. You know, I think that we've got a great dynamic, as I have with many people in the business. But yeah, for me, again, it's Danielle.
Cool. I think it's a good shout. I'm going to give my own shout to as well to Lauren Armstrong in operations. Absolutely hero, end of month, end of quarter, anything you need from that part, which blows our brains as simple salespeople. She solves straight away. So shout out to her from me. Who's Mr. or Mrs. Distology? Who would, if you cut them in half, it would bleed? I was going to say pink, but most people would anyway. Who is that person who just instills what we do?
I would have to say, I'd say Matt Payne. I think Payno is, he's been here a while now. Again, similar to Danielle, he's gone from strength to strength since even when I first joined, to see him grow into that sales manager role. He absolutely epitomises Distology, I feel. First one in the office, last one out most times. So yeah, for me, it's Matt.
Good. Some good answers there, mate. I'm sure they'll be all thanking you afterwards.
I've got some bribes going on as well, so it's all good.
I think one of the key things you did last month, which was absolutely fantastic, is that value add. Obviously we can't go into too much details on the partner or the opportunity, but I know you were closing deals at God midnight to get a deal over the line for the US team, and just talk us through that. For me, that really is value add, and how you effectively went above and beyond to get that order in for the vendor and the partner team.
Yeah, sure. So this was a deal that was sort of brought up in month, actually. It was one that sort of landed in our lap, if you like, in many ways, where we didn't necessarily uncover it ourselves. So very much vendor led. For me, that was probably the first deal I committed in the month, and to kind of have it, the last one in was, it was a bit touch and go sometimes. So, but yeah, look, I think for me, it was having that great alignment with the vendor, always having that dialogue open, and also with the partner who also was out in the US. So, being able to bring that in was massive for me. I am very hungry to just get as much in as possible. Obviously, being end of quarter, even more so. But yeah, ultimately it comes down to those relationships again, and being able to leverage those relationships and potentially call on favors of partners when they're, when it's also their end of quarter, they've got other deals that they're pushing through. Can you use that relationship to get your deal through? And it ultimately comes down to that. So for me and in my role, it's always about the relationships. It's always about what new relationships can you build? How can you make those relationships sticky? So yeah, for me, that's how it happened. I was going to say I didn't lose any sleep over it, but I certainly did. But no, all worth it, 100% all worth it.
Yeah, and I think what you did, that embodies what we stand for as a business. It wasn't about closing the margin our end. It was making sure we got a deal over the line for our partner and our vendor too. So there's a fantastic example, mate, of what we do as Distology. That is it. So, always nice to get a repeat when they're on, Elliott. I threw you a few curveballs by bringing on the guys, but I think it just shows how much you are valued within the team. I'm so glad we did this in a new office for partners and vendors who went to our old office. We now have aircon, so I am sat in a nice, cool 18 degrees, not a toasty 30 degrees, and you can probably see through the sun banging through the window. It's absolutely sweltering here. But that is it. Elliott, congratulations again. Well done. I'm sure I'll see you very soon on this podcast. You can get us on all good podcast platforms. So if you want to get a little margarita in the garden later on and get a bit of a sunbathe on, put this back on, you absolutely can. I'm sure you won't, but you can. So thanks again for watching, listening, and we'll catch you on August edition.